You are listening to The Fine Line with Joe Wiz.
Today's show is brought to you by NielsenDodge.com, where you can get more vehicle for less.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Wiz, and welcome to the latest edition of the Fine Line Podcast. Good to have you along for a wild weekend. That's right, it's Wild Card Weekend, and we thank you for tuning in for this special edition of the Fine Line Podcast. Most of you have heard about me on 880 ESPN in New York, and some of you have heard me on Sports Talk Florida down in the Sunshine State, and we could certainly use some sunshine here in New York. It feels like summertime out. It's 40 degrees out. I mean, these past few days, I've never felt the weather colder than ever. Maybe I'm getting old, but it was like super, super cold. But things are heating up in college basketball and the NBA, and we got the Wild Card Weekend, and we're going to focus in a little bit more on the games for Sunday and one game on Monday, which was transferred or switched over to Arizona due to the fires out in LA. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out in Los Angeles. It's amazing. 2 weeks ago, New Year's Day, we had the tragedy in New Orleans. Now, there's no comparison. The tragedy in New Orleans, that's a whole different ballgame. That was a terrorist attack. This was an act of mismanagement and, human nature or whatever you want to call it in LA. I felt it could have been prevented, but the governor out there, Newsom, is a head case. And people out in California need to get out of that state if they're going to have that type of leadership. But we'll talk about politics another time. I want to focus in on sports because there are 3 football games on Sunday. We already know about the 2 games on Saturday, but on Sunday, there are 3 games on the board. And of course, we touched base on them on my The Fine Line on 880 ESPN, Denver Broncos taking on the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, we got the matchup between the Packers and Eagles. This makes it very intriguing right now. The Eagles are favored by 5. Totals are 45.5. It's hard to guess on this game here because Jalen, I don't want to say guess, but with Jalen Hurts in that concussion protocol, is he going to be 100%? How's his timing going to be? Is Jordan Love's elbow okay? There's a lot of question marks on both sides of the ball with these 2 teams. So it's a shame that we're not going to see either team at 100%. And then the game Sunday night between Washington and Tampa. Yeah, we're going to see Washington and Tampa. And these 2 teams met week 1, and it was all Tampa in that game, 37-20. But things have changed since then. The Commanders have grown up, and Jalen Daniels is for real. The Commanders come in with a 5-game winning streak, and they'll take on Tampa, who barely got by the New Orleans Saints last Sunday. I had the Saints plus 15. Thank you very much. And I have my big play going today. It is my wild card game of the year. And we put people in suspense because when I was on the Saturday show, people didn't know whether it was a Saturday game or the 3 games on Sunday or the 1 game on Monday. Well, you don't know. It might be today. It could be the Monday game. You can call on a recorded message and get it free at 800-301-0944. That's 800-301-0944. You call right now. You call, you listen, and you win. It's that simple. This is a recorded message. The minute you call, you will get my $1 million wild card game of the year. 800-301-0944. Call and see how simple it is. And you could follow me on X, Joe Wiz Sports is a free pick right now. Go to Instagram. I like Instagram better. Joe Wiz Sports on Instagram. Send me a DM. You have a question about any game on the board today? I am here to answer the question. And I'm better than AI or any of these robots out there. You get a real human being. And most of the times, if I'm on there, I'll be happy to help you. You're not sure whether to do the money line. You're not sure whether to bet a total. I know you're not betting parlays because I talk about that all the time. Parlays are sucker bets. They're high-risk bets, and you shouldn't bet more than $100. If you can't help yourself, go ahead and bet. Go have a double bacon cheeseburger with extra mayo, and that's what a parlay is, okay? Because you're not going to survive if you keep betting parlays or you keep eating double bacon cheeseburgers with extra bacon. That's what a parlay is. You just can't do it. So minimize your risk and maximize your reward. Consider me a financial analyst, someone with over 20 years of experience that will steer you in the right direction. And of course, the game on Monday is now in Arizona because of the fires out in L.A. We got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Rams. And, all of a sudden the Vikings are now a 2.5-point favorite. And, this takes away the home field advantage. And that's a big thing here. And the Rams did beat the Vikings earlier in the season. But now it's a neutral site. There is no home field now for the Rams, and that makes a big difference. And the Vikings are coming off of that loss on Sunday to the Lions. It was one of the few times the house needed the favorite, and they needed the Detroit Lions. Every week, everyone's betting the Detroit Lions, but everyone jumped off the bandwagon last week, and look what happened. They got caught with their pants down. Not me. We had the Lions. We laid the wood. We took the Lions -3. I played it safe and did the money line. It was really high because I couldn't believe that everybody was betting the Vikings. So what are they going to do Monday? Are they going to take the Vikings because now it's a neutral site, or are they going to go with the Rams and see what happens with Stafford and company? We'll talk about that game as well. And if you want to get a copy of my tip sheet, don't get bit by the dog. There's a lot of free picks in the tip sheet. NFL, college basketball, NBA, hockey, soccer. It's all in the tip sheet. Go to my website, joewizsports.com. That's JOEWIZ sports.com to get all the winners that you need. Over 20 free winners. You like horse racing, hockey, soccer? It's there. And you got to check out Tucker, Rex, and Jazzy, see what they have to say. Don't get bit by the dog. Get a copy of my tip sheet. Go to my website, joewizsports.com. There's like 19 college basketball games on the board for Sunday. A couple of them are Michigan State taking on Northwestern. And, you take a look at it. Michigan State keeps winning and winning and winning. And Michigan State right now is 13-2, 10-5 against the spread. Most of their games go under, though. 5 overs and 10 unders. And Michigan State's coming off a blowout win over Washington, 88-54, and it wasn't even that close. Michigan State has won like 10 games in a row. I'm counting here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, 8 games in a row. They lost to Memphis back on November 26th. That was their last loss. But they've been rolling. They beat teams like North Carolina, Ohio State they beat last week. They beat Washington in a blowout. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Northwestern has been struggling a little bit. Northwestern has lost 2 in a row. They're 10-5, 9-6 against the spread, but Northwestern's coming off of 2 straight losses. They lost at Purdue, blowout 79-61. At Penn State, they lost 84-80. So Northwestern, this is a big game for Northwestern because they really would like to stop this freight train of the Spartans, but it's going to be tough to beat Michigan State. I think I might play the under in this matchup between Michigan State and Northwestern right now. I'll probably have a play on the game, but I'd rather go with the under. 4 of the last 4 of the last 6 matchups between the Northwestern Wildcats and the Spartans have gone under the total. Okay? You got Nebraska taking on Purdue. Purdue is really good this year. They just knocked off Rutgers. How about Rutgers? They talk about being overrated. Rutgers is overrated. Rutgers had 2 big tests, and they failed miserably the last 2 games at home. I think they're drinking too much Kool-Aid. They were ranked in the top 25. Purdue, 12-4, 8-8 against the spread. They're taking on Nebraska. And Nebraska, pretty impressive this year. 12-3, 9-6 against the spread. And Nebraska is coming off a loss at Iowa in overtime. They lost that game, 97-87. That had snapped a 6-game winning streak for Nebraska. I think the Cornhuskers might be able to hang with the Purdue Boilermakers. My early inclination is to take the Huskers plus the points on that matchup. I am super pumped up. It's wild card weekend. We got 3 games on Sunday, and of course the Monday night game between the Vikings and the Rams. You can get my $1 million wild card game of the year. Just call, listen, and win. 800-301-0944. It's on a recorded message. You call, you listen, you win. Do it now. 800-301-0944. NBA action on Sunday. The Bucks are taking on the Knicks, and you take a look at it. Both teams played on Friday. Denver takes on Dallas. Denver is one of the higher scoring teams in the NBA. Denver has gone over 63% of the time this year, and they used to be a low-scoring half-court game. They switched it around. So Jokic and company, and pay attention if he's in the lineup. But, take a look at the Denver Nuggets and Mavericks to go over the total, even though Doncic, Irving, you're not sure who's going to be in the lineup. Meanwhile, Chicago Bulls, I don't trust the Chicago Bulls. They're playing Sacramento. Sacramento is just 15-22 against the spread. That's the only thing that scares me about that matchup on Sunday is the spread record there. And Oak City Thunder taking on the Wizards. Good luck in that game there. Wizards are absolutely terrible. They're just hitting like 38% against the spread. So stay away from the Wizards. You can't lay the big wood. Either play the total, maybe take a small shot with the under. Oak City Thunder go under more often than they go under more often than they go over. But, I know you're thinking about football. 3 games today, 1 game on Monday. My $1 million wild card game of the year, free on a recorded message, 800-301-0944. You call, you listen, and you win. Plain and simple. Follow me on Instagram right now, and you get free picks for the rest of your life. Joe Wiz Sports. And you got to get a copy of my tip sheet. Go to my website, JoeWizSports.com. Do it now. We're going to take a break and come back and talk the NFL. That's what everybody wants, right?
I'm Matt Brown with your college basketball flash update. Kentucky heads to Mississippi State to take on the Bulldogs, where the Wildcats haven't lost since January of 2008. Last Sunday, the Wiz took the Cats as they beat Florida. Tuesday, he went with the Dogs, that's the Georgia Bulldogs, in the mild upset. Who will win today when the Cats face another Bulldog who's more vicious than Georgia? Head over to Joe Wiz Sports on Instagram to get free winners.
The playoffs are here, and today the Wiz is releasing his $1 million wild card game of the year for free on tape. That's right, free on a recorded message. Call 800-301-0944. It's 100% free on a recorded message. Just call, listen, and win. 800-301-0944. Let's face it, everyone says they win, but the Wiz will actually prove it. It's the $1 million wild card game of the year, and it's free on tape. Call 800-301-0944. That's 800-301-0944. Nobody to speak to. No hype. No messages. Plain and simple. You call, you listen, you win. Do it now and see how simple it is. Call 800-301-0944. You don't miss the wild card game of the year. It's free on a recorded message. 800-301-0944. Because nobody beats the Wiz.
You are listening to The Fine Line with Joe Wiz on 880 ESPN.
Sports fans, it's time to level up your game. Visit rantsports.com, your ultimate hub for daily sports and wagering news. Get expert insights from the genius Sean Miller and stay ahead of the action. Rant Sports, where the game never stops. It's finally here. The Fine Line Podcast with Joe Wiz. You've never heard anything like it before. Available wherever you get your podcast.
Hey Mike, you hear about this sports handicapper Joe Wiz?
Isn't he the guy that has that sports betting show on ESPN?
Yeah, I started following him on Twitter and he's been on fire. I don't even have to call anyone for the free pick.
Are you serious?
Yup, just follow him at Joe Wiz Sports on Twitter and his handle is the same on Instagram.
Didn't he make that big $20,000 bet or something I saw on the news?
Yeah, I think the video is on his website, JoeWizSports.com.
I'm gonna follow him now. What's his Twitter again?
It's at Joe Wiz Sports.
Wow, I just followed him. He's the real deal, all right. He's on ESPN with thousands of followers.
You can call or text him to get a free winner instantly. Here's his number, 201-906-3853.
What's the number?
Oh my God, 201-906-3853.
I went to JoeWizSports.com and got a free copy of his tip sheet. Tons of free winners.
You owe me, dude. I hooked you up with one of the biggest names in sports betting. You know what they say, nobody beats the Wiz.
Bing bong.
You are listening to the Fine Line Podcast for Wild Card Weekend. We're focusing more on Sundays and Mondays matchups because most of you got all my other picks on 880 ESPN in New York. And, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. As I mentioned, 19 college basketball games on the board, 3 NFL games on the board for today. And it starts with the matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. Everyone wants to know, do the Broncos have a chance? Of course they have a chance, right? They're there. And the Broncos, have a very good spread record also. So you cannot dismiss the fact that the Broncos come in with a record of 10-7, 12-5 against the spread. And Broncos did well down the stretch. They beat Kansas City because KC rested all their starters. They should have beaten the Cincinnati Bengals. They lost the game in overtime 30-24. Remember that game because I had them plus the points, and somehow they blew the game. Chargers, they lost at the Chargers 34-27, but they did win against the Colts, against the Browns, Raiders, and Falcons. And listen, you got to give Bo Nix and the Broncos a shot in this game here. Buffalo Bills are 8-0 at home. The Broncos are 4-5. I think this could be a high-scoring affair. If the weather plays up, pay attention to the weather. If the weather holds up, this game could go over the total. I know 47 seems like a high number, but Buffalo goes over quite often too. 11 overs, 6 unders, and when it counted, they put some points on the board. They put up 40 against the Jets, 24 against the Patriots. They relaxed a days ago in that game, but they had 48 at Detroit, 42 at the Rams, and then at San Fran they put up 35, and don't forget they beat KC. They put up 30. If the weather cooperates, this will be a high-scoring affair. Remember, my $1 million wild card game of the year, get it free on a recorded message, 800-301-0944. That's 800-301-0944. Call right now to get my $1 million wild card game of the year. Matchup between Green Bay and the Philadelphia Eagles. It's very intriguing, but very complex only because of the injury status. We don't know what we're going to get out of Jalen Hurts. We know the Philadelphia Eagles are 14-3, 11-6 against the spread. Hurts did not play against the Giants in a meaningless game, didn't play against the Cowboys, played most of the Commander game, but they lost at the end when he was out 36-33. You take a look at the matchup between Green Bay. Hey, they're 11-6. Jordan Love, his elbow. Christian Watson's out. We don't know exactly what we're going to get from the Packers either. We know their last 2 games have gone over the total, but I think this one's going to go under. The total's 45.5. You know what they say, don't get burnt by the hook. Go under 46 between the Packers and Eagles. Washington and Tampa, Tampa beat Washington week 1, but this is a different Commander team here, and so is it with Tampa. But Tampa was laying 15 last week to the Saints, and they barely covered. They didn't cover. They barely won the game, I should say, 27-19. Baker Mayfield gets the nod, even though Jalen Daniels is a good quarterback. He's still, his first year. Washington finished off with 5 straight wins. They beat the Cowboys, Falcons, Eagles, Saints, and Titans. And when they first met, it was a high-scoring affair. I know the total's 50. Weather should be okay in Tampa. It could be another high-scoring affair. Remember, my $1 million wild card game of the year, you can get it free. Call, listen, and win on a recorded message. 800-301-0944. You call, listen, and win. 800-301-0944. And you got to get a copy of my tip sheet. Over 20 free winners in football, basketball, hockey, and soccer. Go get a copy of it right now. JoeWizSports.com. That's JoeWiz Sports.com. Follow me on Instagram, Joe Wiz Sports. You get free picks for the rest of your life. And if you have a question, you could send me a DM, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. And, of course, Monday night, the game is in Glendale, Arizona. This favors the Vikings. The Vikings are now a 2.5-point favorite, and this line was about to pick them, but when they switched the venue due to the fires, Rams lost that home field advantage. And you take a look at the Rams, they did beat the Vikings back on October 24th. They beat them 30-20. But, the Vikings, how are they going to recover after that devastating loss they had? I don't want to say devastating because it was for the conference, and they were never really, the lines were better that Sunday night. I had the lines in that game. Vikings 14-3, 11-5 against the spread, 7 overs and 10 unders for the Vikings. But the Vikings did nothing but win and win. They had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a 9-game winning streak snapped against the Lions. So what are they going to do here? I think this is, I'm giving out all totals here, but I think this game's going over the total also, over 47 between the Vikings and Rams. But I'm going to have plays on the games, but you have to call. And you call my recorded message, you'll get my $1 million wild card game of the year at 800-301-0944. It's free on a recorded message. Call, listen, and win. 800-301-0944. I can't make it any easier than that. As I mentioned, there's 19 college basketball games on the board. Already talked about Northwestern Michigan State, Nebraska, Purdue. Sometimes there's games that are of intrigue that people aren't paying attention to. Does anybody know anything about St. Peter's College and Canisius, the Golden Griffins of Canisius? Michigan, coming off a big win over Washington, coming off a big win against UCLA a couple days ago. They take on Washington. Washington just got smoked by Michigan State. What's going to happen in this game here? You got a team like Charlotte and Tulsa. People don't pay attention to this, but I think Charlotte will knock off Tulsa at the Reynolds Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Take a look at Charlotte. And Oregon's playing Penn State. Hey, Oregon's coming off a big win, and Penn State got smoked by Illinois. But this game is being played on the campus at Bryce Jordan Center in University Park. We thought we'd see these two in the college football championship, but not the case. I do like Penn State, the Lions, to knock off the Ducks in a mild upset. Get my $1 million wild card game of the year. You call, listen, and win. 800-301-0944. Call right now, and you will get it for free. No hype, no pressure, nobody to speak to. Now, of course, you can get in touch with me if you want to. Just call me. My office number is 888-WIN-7000. Everyone knows it. We've give it out every week on the air. 888-WIN-7000. I have a big dog going off in one of the college basketball games today. There's 19 of them. I gave you a couple of them here on the show, but I do have another dog available. You can follow me on Instagram, Joe Wiz Sports. I put out free picks 7 days a week. Joe Wiz Sports. Same thing on X. I like Instagram better, and you got to get a copy of my tip sheet. JoeWizSports.com. Go and get a copy of it right now. JoeWizSports.com. Hey, this is an abbreviated edition of the Feinline podcast. We're going to have more games throughout the week. Just follow me on Instagram to get updates when you can hear me. But we're going to be doing more podcasts, maybe 2 or 3 of them a week. So make sure you follow me on Instagram to get the updates, get the tip sheet on my website, JoeWizSports.com. And I'm on 880 ESPN New York every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. You can get me there. We're not on the Sunday anymore, but we got the podcast, and we're just as happy with that as well. So you can follow me and get a lot of information on Instagram or X, Joe Wiz Sports. We put out the updates there, and we hope that you call to get my $1 million wild card game of the year. It's free on a recorded message. 800-301-0944. Talk to you later.